Good morning. Welcome to Haskell Indian Nations University, 2014 Presidential Inauguration.
I will try to keep this as short as I can, but I wanted to share a small story of mine. Many years ago, well, okay, maybe not that many, I came to Haskell as a freshman student, and I was given an advisor. And I met this advisor, and I talked to her, and she made me feel comfortable. I was very nervous, very young, and she made me feel comfortable, made me feel welcome. She also made me feel like I could accomplish anything. And in talking to her, I found out that she was a Prairie Potawatomi woman. And at that time, I did not know her. And I thought, wow, look at what this woman has achieved. She is here. She is guiding me. She is guiding so many other people. And at that moment in time, she became a role model for me. An example of what a Native person, a Native woman, a Prairie Band Potawatomi woman could achieve. And from that time on, I began to realize I had potential. I began to realize we all had potential, and we could achieve anything that we wanted to. And over the years, I saw her in different places, at different times, and I was growing and she was growing, and I could not be more proud to be standing here today for her, to see what she has achieved, and to be standing here in a position that I have recently achieved. And I think that is just a wonderful example of what any of us can do if we put our minds to it and we dedicate ourselves, not only to ourselves, but to helping other people, to inspiring other people.
This is a special day for the Haskell community, and I'm very proud to be part of it. There's a sense with a new leader that new leader will use her talents and her fresh perspective to take the university in new directions. That's certainly true in the case of Dr. Chenault, and I believe that big things are in store for Haskell under her leadership. I've known Dr. Chenault for a few years now, and I'm proud to say that she has not one, not two, but 3 degrees from KU, her bachelor's and master's, and also her PhD. As the chancellor, nothing makes me more proud than when our graduates go on to do great things. And Dr. Chenault's becoming president of this university certainly qualifies as a great thing. I'm especially excited to welcome Dr. Chenault because I know under her leadership, Haskell and KU will continue our special and mutually beneficial relationship. Haskell and KU have long enjoyed a spirit of cooperation, due both to our common mission and to our mutual location here in Lawrence. Many cooperative initiatives and programs have been created over the past years. And in fact, our two universities have a memorandum of understanding that codifies these major areas of cooperation and continues to serve as a framework for how we relate to one another. Within the spirit of that memorandum, both institutions agree to honor and mutually support each other's academic programs of study. In short, we continue to be good neighbors and partners in a way that benefits students, the city, and the region. And I look forward to continuing that partnership with Dr. Chenault. To the Haskell community, congratulations on selecting a talented new leader, and thank you for continuing to play such a special role in this region. And to Dr. Chenault, congratulations on your new role. I am honored to welcome you as a colleague.
It wasn't but 12 years ago that I sat where you all were as a non-traditional, but still in my infancy of being able to understand and respect the value of education. And being able to be here to kind of come full circle, if you will, in taking responsibility for how we are moving forward and structuring our institutions and how those institutions contribute to the nation-building work that many of the folks here have been a part of their entire life is just tremendously humbling. And as I look into the audience and as I was able to be able to share some time with the leaders that have graced the stage here today in honor of Dr. Chenault, it's just really clear that the future is tremendously bright. And in such a short amount of time, what our efforts have amounted to in the way of the shared responsibility. And from the unique perspective that I hold in ensuring that the trust responsibility of the federal government is moving forward in the best direction to ensure that our tribal nations are strong.
Haskell has a long history. Your scholars, your graduates have distinguished themselves honorably for decades. At one time, Haskell controlled really all of Indian education. This institution was Indian education. It needs to retain that integral part. But we need to develop a new paradigm in education. We need, as I said, our own accreditation. We need education to go to the four corners globally. We need a vision that brings all of us together, K through 12, that we don't have the structure, the design that we have today. What type of an educational system do we want? We need to have control and ownership of who we are educationally. Tribal institutions of higher learning have been designated spiritually as that vehicle. We are at the crossroads of our journey. Where do we go from here? We're holding 2 symposiums here. And I thank Dan Wildcat, Venida, a fellow Steve Drew, all of you, especially our students. Our students need to be involved. Their future is not years ahead. Their future is now. A lot of us don't have the years that we gave before. We're looking towards all of you, especially you younger ones, to provide your voice, your leadership, as to where 7 generations from now and even beyond will go. So that thousands of years from now we can say, hey, we are still indigenous people.
It's been 15 years, I can't believe it, more than 15 years since I left Haskell Indian Nations University. And some of you haven't changed a bit. Look at Dan Wildcat. That's cool. And I was looking at Clarita Brocky. She hasn't changed a bit. She was on the Board of Regents when I was here. But it's a beautiful campus, and it's always a pleasure to return. And especially today, with not only the inauguration of Dr. Chenault, but as we celebrate 130 years of the Haskell University. And what I treasure most about my association with Haskell is that wherever I go, and you know, I was an instructor here 10 years before I became president, and I see former students and they say, remember me, I was in your classroom. Now they're a social worker, they're an educator, they're a tribal college president. So it's really great to have that connection and that association, and to see the impact that thousands of alumni have had, not only in Indian country, but across this country. And they've done so much for all of us. And some of the students that come up to me and when I was president say, remember me? And I say, no. And they said, well, I was a troublemaker. But they've gone on to be a big success. And that's the best thing about Haskell. A lot of us had the beginnings here and have made a difference. But I think what Dr. Bordeaux said, the challenges facing Indian country and this nation today, we need Haskell more than ever. In terms of addressing the issues of the environmental crisis that this country is in and impacting on Indian country with climate change and all of that. with what's happening in education and schools and with tribal governments and tribal sovereignty and self-determination. It needs to be supported. Our culture, our language, all of that. And Haskell can make such a difference there in terms of the graduates and the mission here. And I think back to 1991 when I met Dr. Chenault for the first time. I think my first impression was that she had the mojo. She had that creative spirit, that determination to make a difference, not only at Haskell, but in Indian country and the world. You know, she was a problem solver. She stood up for her convictions. She was very articulate and outspoken. So you always knew where Dr. Chenault stood on any issues. And so I know with her vision, as we go forward here at Haskell, we're in good hands.